What's going on, everybody? Frank from AM Ramen here, and we are deep within Kyoto Prefecture. We are south of Kyoto City in a place called Joyo. Not a whole lot going on around here, but there is ramen going on. And the places we're visiting are actually the top ranked in all of Kyoto and among the top ranked in all of Japan. A little bit of a commitment to get out here, but I'm sure it will be worth it.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Deep in Kyoto, the best ramen here, starting now.
Welcome to 5 AM Ramen, your ultimate guide to the extensive realm of ramen in Japan. I'm Frank, your ramen aficionado, and I navigate you through this realm, one savory broth at a time. Let's dive in. This is the 10th episode in a BIG KYOTO RAMEN series. Feel free to buy our Kyoto Ramen guidebook as well. I've eaten all the ramen down here, so you don't have to. You'll find a promo code in the description below. So, we've been running around the Kansai region and are back in Kyoto today for what some think is Kyoto's very best ramen shop. This means it's gonna be heavy ramen today. The ramen shop, Ramen Appareya, is not exactly easy to get to, but the trip has to be made. I'm also aiming to order 2 ramen there. Sometimes really popular shops with a longer wait in Japan only allow you to order 1 ramen, not 2. It's about getting people in and out and serving everybody. We'll see what lies ahead at Ramen Appareya. I'm saying this as I'm showing footage of 2 different ramen there.
Okay, here's a big recap for 2 big bowls at Ramen Appareya. So I ordered the ramen and the Tsukemen, and for the Tsukemen, I had a smaller portion of noodles, or shou. Even with shou, it's 150 grams of noodles before you boil them, so still pretty hefty. Fantastic noodles, and as often is the case with Tsukemen, they recommend you to try the noodles by themselves. These were slippery, thick, a little bit flat, good quality. And the soup to match was fantastic. It was a richer soup, but not as thick as it could have been. Sometimes Tsukemen places like to have thicker soups just so there's more of a coating agent action, but not the case here. Thick enough, mind you. And even though I drank the soup by itself, which is normally not a no-no with Tsukemen, but it is very intensely rich.
So that shows how I'm just like a salty barbarian freak.
I didn't feel like it was overly rich when I drank it by itself, and I really got a lot of the flavor, maybe even a little bit more so compared to when I was dipping the noodles in the soup. They love this style over here in Kyoto. They also love pepper over here, and the chashu pork, also peppery with its seasoning, on the rarer side, soft and pink. And at least on the day I went, I don't know if they do this normally, they provided sabisu, or basically a free topping, and you had the choice of bamboo shoots, memma, an egg, or extra chashu. I got an egg, but it already came with an egg, so there were 2 eggs, or I should say half an egg and a full egg there. Now, next came the ramen, and the ramen soup was, yes, not as rich, not as intensely flavored, and I think going from the Tsukemen to the ramen, because of that, the ramen felt almost light. As such, I feel like I like the Tsukemen better. There's a reason why it's so popular, of course, and maybe that was the wrong order to go in. They asked me, which one do you want first, ramen or the Tsukemen? And I was like, whatever. So the Tsukemen came first, and I'm not saying the Tsukemen I preferred it because I like heavier soups. I'm actually more of a light ramen guy, but I think the Tsukemen just got me more excited overall. And don't get me wrong, that ramen was fantastic too. The soup, yeah, wasn't necessarily thinner than the Tsukemen, but a little bit less intense, a little bit less rich, but still full of warm chicken flavors that also don't hit you over the head. Because those chashu pork were cooking in the soup, they weren't as pink and also hot in temperature compared to with the Tsukemen. Same great noodles, and one thing I forgot to mention for the Tsukemen is that they give you wari soup, which is basically hot water, sometimes dashi. I don't think I tasted any dashi here, but this hot water you could pour into the soup to finish some of it off. I did that, and yeah, that soup is fantastic. I really enjoyed that Tsukemen soup. And even though this being a heavier style isn't something I would normally regularly eat, still eat a lot of heavy ramen, I very much appreciated it and can understand why this place is at the top of the Kyoto ramen rankings chart. It's an experience too in there. Disneyland, like you're waiting in line for a ride when you arrive, and once you're inside, it's a really fun way to see the kitchen with that dramatic counter wrapped all the way around the kitchen. Okay, that was pretty hefty, so I'm gonna do a lot of walking from now. I just been walking from neighborhood to neighborhood, and we're gonna walk to our next ramen shop, which also does a Tsukemen and is also on Tabelog's top 100 ramen list for East Japan.
That was filling, but I'm not done yet. Before visiting the next ramen shop, I decided to kill some time at a random Bali-themed eatery and cafe nearby. I had some coffee, recharged my brain, and most importantly, did some necessary noodle digesting. After that, it was time to visit Menya Takei. They have a few branches, but I'm visiting their Honten, or their flagship branch. Their top seller is a Tsukemen, another dipping ramen. The pork and fish-based soup is grittier here than what we saw previously. More on this now.
Full. Those were thick noodles, thicker than at Ramen Appareya earlier. Thick, more round instead of flat, and actually even more slippery. And their small, or sho, actually starts at 200 grams, not 150. So a lot more noodles, and I'm feeling them inside my stomach right now. Soup-wise, this was very salty, but also sweet. You know, tsukemen, you often get salty, sweet, sour at the same time, and maybe one of those three will be standing out more. I would say for this one, definitely salty, definitely sweet. And that sweetness is the thing down here. They do have a bit more of a sweet tooth in the Kansai region, also in Kyushu. In the soup, that sweetness was also compounded by the yuzu on top there, which is refreshing to what was a very rich soup. Well balanced, but definitely one of those grittier tsukemen that's really concentrated, and everything's so strong. That's maybe why it tastes so balanced, because that salty concentrated flavor is so dominant. You don't feel like, oh wow, this is really fishy, or oh wow, this is so pork bone or chicken bone rich. In terms of toppings, they were your typical ones, although it already came with rosu in terms of pork, so I decided to get bara. So I had rosu and bara as the two types of pork chashu there. Also got the tsukemen with an egg, which was between hard-boiled and soft-boiled. Another thing that made that soup sweet was they put a whole lot of negi inside the soup. I think that pretty much sums it up. A high-quality bowl of tsukemen at Takei, and one that's more your typical tsukemen in terms of the tonkotsu gyokai category, or that is the double soup with richness from chicken and or pork bones along with fish, and in this case, sweet, strong flavor.
Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to tune in to the next episode, as it's the very last one in this Kyoto Ramen series.
Okay, that being said, I'm going to tap out and wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed this video, going deep into Kyoto with me for some awesome ramen, heavier ramen. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Frank from 5AM Ramen signing out from more rural Kyoto.